Some say it's all about 1925 and beyond. The podcast. KC 100 year celebration with Pete A. Kennedy and Marlon A. Kennedy.
Welcome. It's another 1925 and Beyond podcast. I'm your co-host, Pete A. Kennedy. I'm here with co-host, Big Brother Marlon A. Kennedy, and we have another special guest out of the greatest institution, KINGSTON College. Again, this podcast is geared to KC 100 year celebration as we talk to individuals who have passed through the KINGSTON College walls. Let me not hold it up and get to our guest. But let me drop the credit because you know we always have to. I've been to KC. I went to KC 1992 to the years of 1995, played Colts 93, 94, with 94, and 95 moved on to Manning Cup, and that was the KC history, but it didn't stop there. Big Brother, what do you have to say to them co-hosts?
All right, thank you, Pete. Welcome everybody for joining us again for another episode. As Pete said, I'm a co-host. His brother also went to KC from 86 to 93. On occasions like this, Pete and I have to remind ourselves that when it comes to our time at KC and our accolades, we have to probably mumble it, because when we can get some of our guests and what some of the things that they have achieved, you know, we have to just sit in one corner and eat a humble pie. So today, it's our privilege to have with us, joining us, another distinguished Fortis brother, Davian Clarke. For those who don't know, Davian Clarke is a well-known student athlete and also a professional athletics runner, a sprinter per se for Jamaica. Attended Olympics. Sorry, I'm slipping my little football knowledge, but really Olympics as well, and also competed on the university university in USA. So with no further ado, we'd like to welcome our distinguished guest, Davian Clarke. Davian, welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate you guys using your time to gather all this information, and deliver it to the young men and the supporters of KINGSTON College. Because when I was younger and going to KC, we had oral history. So that's what you guys are capturing, the oral histories.
Yes, sir.
Because not everything that is written is the complete history. So this is a very important step, and I congratulate you guys for having this vision.
Thank you very much, Davian. I appreciate it. And in true fashion of the podcast, Davian, we invite our guests to start their story off by just telling us a bit about themselves before KC, you know, where they grew up, siblings, family, home, family life, and so forth. So let's hear you, Davian.
Yes. So, so everybody called me Spanish Town when I was at KC, when I'm on the Jamaica team, because very few people from where I'm from made it to KINGSTON College, or were even interested in making it all the way to KINGSTON College from Spanish Town. It's a long trip, so you have to get up early in the morning. When I was on the national team, same thing. Everybody called me Spanish Town because I was one of a few people from Spanish Town that's on the team. And for me, that's all I talk about. The greatest place for me is growing up in Spanish Town.
Which community exactly in Spanish Town, Davian?
Me, I'm all over the place, but I was born in front of GC Foster.
Okay.
We call that Walks Road.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was born in 1976, so I was born before the construction of GC Foster.
Okay.
So as a child, my family's shop is right there by the train line.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you cross the train line to make the right to go to GC Foster, you see a shop on the left. So that used to be my yard. So there wasn't any fence there blocking me from GC Foster. So as a child, I used to run across the road, run through the grass fields.
Wow.
And so that's my memory of GC Foster before construction started. And so my grandmother was a businesswoman. I grew up with my grandmother, was raised by my grandmother. I didn't live with my brothers and sisters and my mother and my father my entire life. I spent all my time in Jamaica with my grandmother.
Wow.
So she loved me, you know. I was our first grandson. She loved me like anything else. So I used to run across the fields at GC Foster, and then all of a sudden construction started and a bunch of Cubans came. And they came to our bar and supported us because we run a bar. And so they came over there after work, you know, Jamaican workmen. So they came over during the construction phase and definitely helped our family out. So that's kind of where I thought I didn't know anything about GC Foster, who he was or what was going on, but that's where my love for athletics started. You know, I was one of the first people. I call myself the first baby of GC Foster. Everybody know me in GC Foster. Nobody in administration know me, but the guardy, the bus driver, you know, the people them that sell, everybody know me. They don't know my name. They don't know I'm a runner. Every time them see me, they just call me Miss Bertha grandson. So that's me in Spanish Town. Nobody knows my name in Spanish Town. They don't know I'm Davian Clarke. They just know that I'm Miss Bertha grandson. And that's how I traveled my entire life while I was in Jamaica. But I grew up with my grandmother, my parents, you know, my mother, my father. I have an older brother. I have three brothers, I should say. I have three brothers and two sisters, and none of them are involved in sports. None of them were interested in sports.
Wow.
They got interested in sports because I was in sports, but that was not their focus. Everybody in my family is all academic. Everybody is nurse and doctors and engineers and 4.0 student. And I was like the black sheep of the family. And when I say black sheep of the family, I don't mean my siblings. I'm talking my cousins. Everybody's 4.0, and I'm the only one with a C average. I attended St. Catherine Primary School. That's right there beside the St. Diego Cathedral and right next to the library in Spanish Town. And my teachers used to say at primary school that C was for Clark, because that was all that was on my transcript. C, 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 C. You know, it was a Catholic school, so we had a nun that came in. She was Sister Mary Agata. And she used to come and she said, Davian, come here, hold out your hand. And I used to get spanking for running, because Catholic schools are very strict when it comes to sports. And you're not supposed to sweat, and you're supposed to walk everywhere, and you're not being a gentleman while you're running, why you knock over the girls, why you this, why you that. So I didn't do anything bad, but I was always in trouble because I was running, knocking over food, people, everything. And so we our school has sports day at Prison Oval. And so that's the biggest thing when we have sports day at Prison Oval. All the prisoners, they stick their hand through the grill, and they have a yellow plastic bag, and they wave it to support our different colored teams.
Classes
and
and
I was
teams.
I was in the greenhouse.
Wow.
So that's where my sports started, but I was not allowed to train or sweat. And I was only allowed to run I was only allowed to run on sports day.
Wow.
However, I didn't get the title of fastest person in school, because the one sports day I was supposed to win, because you know you're young, when you're in third grade, you can't beat the sixth grader, because you know. So when I finally got to sixth grade and my chance to win and become the fastest person at St. Catherine Primary, they canceled our sports day. That's the only time in history sports day has been canceled. And it was when I was supposed to seize that moment to kind of get my name out there for high schools to recruit me. All of that went up in smokes. And because my parents were not into sports, I didn't even own track shoes. You know, I had only dress shoes and a church shoes.
So you're running at your gentleman's?
No, man, I run barefoot, man. And so sports day got canceled. I won't go into why it was canceled, but something happened and somebody attempted to they attacked Sister Mary Agata. And, you know, the police had to come in, and so there was a lot of, but there was safety concerns, and we just decided to just shut it down. So I always knew I could run. I was always fast. Teacher always telling me to slow down. Same thing with my son. My son is 12 years old. It's the same thing. Every day teacher call and I get emails. Tell your son no running is dangerous. You can't sit still.
Oh, man.
I took common entrance at St. Catherine Primary. I didn't get to take it in fifth grade because my grades weren't good enough. Fourth grade, I wasn't they said, I'm not getting it done academically. And so my grandmother decided to help me and put me in extra classes. And as you say, I can shout out people. And so one of the person I want to shout out who really helped me during that phase of my life of learning how to focus and settle down and kind of focus on my academics and learn how to study was Miss Lamour. And she run a little after school pass session in some city. And so after school every day, I didn't play or do any athletic activities. I went to study because I needed more studying because they were worried about me passing common entrance. And so I used to walk from where I lived. We had moved from GC first and moved to, so I grew up in William Street in Spanish Town.
Got it.
And so they moved me there. And so I used to walk from William Street to Ensom City every day to take extra lessons. And so I didn't take the common entrance in fifth form. And so I had one shot in sixth grade. And nobody believed I would pass. Like when I was growing up, the word on the street was that I was going to be a handicap boy because that's the only thing that I would qualify for. So nobody had any thoughts of me attending college or making it to the Olympics. There was none of that.
Wow.
Nobody was pouring any of that into me.
Yeah.
Nobody in my family made it past primary school or whatever you call it. College school. So
why they take that breath, Why they take that breath? Why they take that breath, Davian? Because I see you're going into, the common entrance and now moving into KC, right?
Yes.
I just want to make a plug if you're not sure that the principal of St. Catherine Primary, is it primary or high?
High.
St. Catherine High School. Okay. Is a KC old boy. So
okay.
just to connect that's with the Fortis as we go along with St. Catherine. But you went
Yes.
to primary school. I just wanted to make sure we connect. So, going into the common entrance, you're talking about coming from your area and not having that expectation.
Yes. And so my sister actually went to St. Catherine. St. Catherine High, and my brother went to Jago. So everybody in my family, well, two brothers went to Jago. So everybody in my family go to school in Spanish
In
Town.
Spanish Town.
And so I was looking at Jonathan Grant, Jose Marti, and different places where and that's before Jose Marti. Jonathan Grant became a high school. It was just all age school.
All age school.
Yeah, so you was going to the technical realm if you go that way, the people that don't pass common entrance.
Common entrance, yeah.
And so the newspaper came out with the who pass. My parents didn't buy no newspaper, and that wasted no money. Nobody don't expect me to pass. I'm in class sitting down.
And you took the common entrance?
Yeah, man, that's what I said. I took common entrance in 6. So I'm in class sitting down. Teacher takes out the newspaper and she fold it and she start going through the names and she said, yes, stand up, this person, and would clap. Yay, congratulations. Go around from first grade all the way to 6 and tell every teacher you've ever had, thank you for helping you and let them know that you finally made it and you passed. And so she called out names. I'm sitting there. I see everybody get up and there was only 4 of us left in class. And I'm sitting there and everybody gone. I said, man, I can't believe my life going to turn out like this. I didn't pass the common entrance. And I'm sitting there. Wow. And then people are coming in and talking to my teacher and say, hey, thank you very much for helping us with English and blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there and the pressure is setting. And then my teacher look over at me and she said, Davian, why are you sitting down? And I said, I'm sorry? She said, I called your name. I said, you did not call my name. I've been waiting for this my entire life. If you called my name and said I passed common entrance, I would have heard you.
You don't know.
Man, you passed, man. No problem, man. And I'm sitting there looking at her. I'm like, this is 10 minutes after you call everybody else. Yeah. So that was my journey. I was never in the top 20. I was always in the bottom 25% of school.
So what schools?
I'm sorry.
What schools you selected?
Oh no, I'm leading up to that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was never in the top of anything, right? When I took the common entrance, my decision was, how to pick the school I want to attend. So my brother was at Jago. Everybody in my in my school matriculate to Jago. The head boy, the prefect, everybody goes to Jago. So school challenge quiz was on earlier in the year, and the finalists that year were Jago and Kingston College. And my grandmother said, well, when you're going to do common entrance, you need to pick one of these two schools because obviously these are the two best academic schools. And I said, well, yeah, all right. I'll put down KC as my first choice. But if it don't work out, I'll go to Jago with everybody else. If you go to Jago right now, everybody from St. Catherine Primary goes to Jago. All the teachers probably are St. Catherine Primaries. When I go there to recruit, when I was a college coach, I run into all my classmates who are teachers. So that's how I choose my thing. But then when the grades come out, the grades was so good that I was placed with Kingston College.
Nice. See it there?
Yeah. And
Nice.
so my parents are like, you're going to go to Kingston, that's too far. My grandmother didn't want me to go. She said, man, you never even been to Kingston. You don't even know where KC is. So that was my journey. And so I wasn't one of those people who were recruited to Kingston College because of athletics or because of any reason. I earned my spot solely based on my academic achievement. And that's why I want to thank Ms. Lamour, because one of the things that taking those extra classes and tutoring helped me with was with my math. And to this day, that's my strongest subject, math. Even when I was at KC, I used to do ad maths. But that's another story. Don't want to talk about that. But maths is my area. You know, English is not so. I'm not so well in that area. So that's my journey. So that's how I ended up at KC.
So what year you started at KC, David?
So I started Gilbert year. So that's what, 1989?
88.
88, yeah. So I started Kingston College 1988. And my grandfather was working at the at Up Park Camp. And so he took me the first time. And he showed me where the school was. But we went to Big KC, that picture in the background, because I didn't know that we're both Melbourne.
Yep, many didn't.
And then so now when there was a time to come for orientation, and you're supposed to go to Melbourne, and I come back with my father, and we go here, and then God tell me, no, man, you're in the wrong place. You have to walk there, so then turn, and then this and that. And so we find our way to Melbourne, and that's kind of how I found my way around. But that was probably like my second or third time leaving Spanish Town. I was happy, you know, seeing different places. I thought Kingston was America, you know, it was foreign to me. It's so different from growing up in Spanish.
Oh, way different,
So night and day. Actually, my mother took my little sister one time to Kingston when she was probably about 3 years old, and that was her expression. She's like, wow, these people have grass in their front yard. Oh man, this must be foreign. So us with our mind, you know, young minds, every little thing about Kingston was awesome to me. And you know, Kingston College and being around a school with so many students, a big student body, and meeting so many lifelong friends who we still connect up to this day. You know, everything was great. But as I say, along with the journey, when I came to KC, I didn't come for sports. So I just came, showed up. Nobody knew me. I didn't know anybody. I left Spanish Town every day by myself. I saw some other people wearing ties, but I didn't know them. And so we got to connect on the bus and meet some people and gain some friendships. And so while I'm at KC, you know, Pepsi practice, well, not practice, game, the first Pepsi game. And I'm standing there and they're like, no, man, don't go home yet. We're going to have a football game. I said, yeah. And I watched the game and the excitement, just the same thing that you guys felt when y'all started. And with that 8th grade block, I mean, I see all these things are going. I mean, I watched the game. I mean, I said, man, I want to be a part of this team. And then I said, but you know, if I play football, I said, I never really play upon an organized team, but I'm sure I can play. And So I said, how I get on the team? And them say, go talk to coach. So after the game, I go over to the coach and I tell them, hey, I want to be on the Pepsi team. Man said, listen, man, tryouts was back in July, man. You talk about it. It's too late. You can't be on the team.
It start already.
Yeah, start already, man. This is not your thing. I'm going to scratch my head. I
Yeah.
said, no, man. I have to find a way to be on this football team because I know I can do it. So they didn't allow me for Colts or Manning Cup. But then I noticed that I think at the time Wolde was playing Colts. And I think they had him on the Manning Cup team, Wolde Harris. And for some reason, we decided to follow them over to Big KC over on North Street and ask coach if I can try out for Manning Cup. So Manning Cup coach back then was oh shoot. Man, I'm getting old now. You remember who was Manning Cup coach?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, no, I don't remember
But
either.
go on anyway. If it
No, man,
yeah,
95, man. You don't know who was your coach in 95?
Bell. Vernon Bell.
Oh, yeah. So it was before Bell.
Yeah.
He died. It soon come to me. He was also my track coach. I don't know.
George T.
Yeah, George T.
Okay, yeah.
George T was coaching.
Yeah.
So I come over and said, George T, I want to play. Man said, all right. Okay, you know, he's a nice old man. So George T looked at me and said, you can be the ball boy. Every time I kick the ball over there, so the pool, grab the ball and bring it back. So you can stay at practice, no problem. So I'm like, all right, I have a job. I'm a ball boy for the Manning Cup team. So one day I come to practice and him say, all right, we short a man. I say, you stay here. So every time the man kick the ball to you across the field, you control it and kick it back to him. So them kick the ball to me, I control it, I kick it, and they go over in that pool. And man, them say, yo, boss, why go on? Get that money off of the field, man. So I lose my ball boy job. Man, them say, yo, get rid of this guy. But
You got promoted and lost the job you actually come from.
Lost the job. And we run a drill where you kick the ball against the low wall, right?
Yeah, man. In front of the
low wall. You're supposed to do a low ball drill and kick it.
Yeah.
Every time I kick my ball, it lands for the basketball court. George T like, man, y'all cause more problem than good in a day, man. But you can't stay. So hang on some more. George T patient with me. And then one day it so happened, goalkeeper don't show up. We only have one goalkeeper. And them say, yo, I get a chance to play. We need you to play goalie. I say, all right, we're up on the field. So I run out during our live practice, me in the goal, them kick a low shot towards me. I go down with my legs open to scoop it up off the ground, go straight through my legs. George T said, all right, this is it. No, that's the worst thing I ever see in my life. Davian, I do not want to see you over at North Street again. Go back over to Belburn. So I get kick off, I lose my job completely, get kick off. And I say, boy, looks like this football thing is not for me. So I just after that, I kind of just stuck with class match. For the rest of the year. And then towards the end of the year, a friend of mine told me about the Cadet Corps. And so that was my next step in my journey. I decided to join the Cadet Corps with Mr. Bennett. And actually, my love for the Cadet actually started because that year I went to Champs.
Okay.
And I saw them blowing the bugle. And I was like, man, what is that? And I said, man, I want to be the guy that blow the bugle. So I wasn't even thinking about the track team. I was looking at the man blowing the bugle and say, yo, and the man playing the drums.
The vibes.
And the vibes. I'm like, listen, this is where I need to be. I need to be in a sporting arena. I want to play, but if I can't play, I'm going to be in the band.
Yeah.
And so my journey started off with Mr. Bennett going over there, getting cussed out again as usual. He said, no, I don't know if you can make it in this thing in the bath. But what happened was while in the Cadet Corps, we used to go on the long runs, in the morning runs. So you go for a 3-mile run, I don't even know how far it was, but go for some long run. And I was always the winning or coming second in the long run. So then I said, man, you're supposed to join the track team, man, because you have good strength. And they used to call me Donkey Man because I said, I run and I can't get tired.
Tired.
Yeah, and I drink donkey water. So man, them say, yeah, man, you need to go join child for the track team. And so there was a guy on the team, Lawrence Reynolds, one of my teammates. He was a 1,500 runner, 800 runner for KC. And so later on in the year, and during the summer, after being in cadet for a year or so, he was like, I'm going to trial for the track team. I talked to the coach and them say, I can't come. You must come with me. And I was like, really? So it's like 5 of us decide, say, hey, this is going to be our path. We're going to try out for the track team. And that's kind of really how my journey with track and field started. Just basically following some friends that had already talked to coach, and they had gotten permission, but I did not get any permission. They didn't know that I was coming out for track. And so basically I came out for the track team. Everybody thought I was a joke because they were like, you don't run, we never see a vast prep before. You don't have no track shoes, because I went out to track and I had a blue pair of Travel Fox. So the Travel Fox was a leather shoes.
Yeah,
I know the Travel Fox, man. Yeah.
So my father had a blue Travel Fox and he migrated. And when he migrated to the US, he leave him Travel Fox. And so I used to use my Travel Fox for track practice. And, you know, the grass wet and the rain. Man, that Travel Fox lasts about 3 months and that running up and down before the leather gets so thick. I mean, so tight, like it brittle, like it almost break. And so what was happening, George T was in charge of the class 3 runners. So George T had a little Pepsi crate, and the Pepsi crate have some old shoes in it. Some of the shoes them don't have no insole. Some shoes have no lace, just the tongue. And them say, the class 3 man them, you guys not getting any shoes because we don't know if you're gonna score no points. But if you're the first one to practice, you have your pick of any shoes in this crate. So that's how I started, you know, humbly. I don't have no shoes, don't have no spikes. I just grabbed whatever old shoes was in the box. Actually, my first champs that I went to, that's the shoes I warm up in. My shoes without no insole. I take off my socks. You can see the greater mark and the, you know, it have the greater mark at the bottom.
In the bottom of the shoes.
Insoles. So my white socks, that's how it looked. So mine wasn't no fancy journey. It was just, I had heart. I knew I wanted to be involved in some type of sports, but I didn't know what that sport would look like. I didn't have any thoughts about being a Jamaican Olympian, being a national representative. I didn't even know what a 800 was, what a 400 was. I just went out to track practice. Coach said, hey, you have four 500s, 4 600s, 10 200s. I just run behind the guys that was in front of me, the teammates. And they would be like, hey, man, don't worry, just tuck in behind me and follow the pace. And so I had some good mentors who encouraged me. And that's how my KC journey started. But it wasn't all, you know, roses. Like I tell you, I don't know what it is about me. As soon as people look at me, I always get a fight. So they tried to kick me off the track team the first year, like they kicked me off the football team as well.
For what?
Well, for what? Because they said they have a certain number of athletes they can have. And they didn't think the resources that they were going to have would be wasted on somebody that don't have any experience in running. And so the first time they had a time trial after training for a while, I run the 400 and I run 59 seconds. And the man them say, man, this guy not going to make it, man. 59 seconds, girls can't beat him, man. So they gave me a test to see if I was going to be on the track team. They put 200 pounds on the squat rack and say if I can squat 200 pounds 10 times, I can stay on the track team. So mind you, I was probably 120 pounds. So 200 pounds was a lot of weight. And so first, they say I have to do 5 reps. No, they wanted me to do 1 rep. So I did the 1 rep and them said, wow, this guy's strong. So them said, 5, man, 5, keep going. So I do 5 and then them said, all right, keep going. And I did 10. And them say, and then coach said, hold on, man, this guy's strong, man. Class 3 man can squat 200 pounds 10 times. And I said, maybe we're overlooking. So that's kind of how I got to stay on the track team. I had to prove myself, but nothing is wrong with that. That's just kind of how sports work. You know, like you play football and you guys know, you have to be able to meet whatever the criteria is in order to move forward. It's not I didn't have the skill because I didn't have the opportunities. But just because I didn't have the opportunities, that don't mean that somebody's going to open the door for you. And I think what happened with young men, and hopefully this is a lesson to somebody that's listening, that people give up too easy. You know, I could have give up after cadet corps. I could have give up after not making it to
Yeah,
Pepsi
football.
or go into Manning Cup and get rejected. But I didn't. I just kept on. I just knew that I was meant to do something else. I didn't know what that something else looked like, but I just knew that I had to
Yeah.
be determined and just keep working. And that's pretty much what I did. My family they weren't involved in sports. They keep asking me, why it taking you so long to get home in the evening? Well, they didn't know what I was doing, but I just kept working at it.
Wow.
So what year you made the track team? Was it in second form or third form?
Second form for class 3. Yes.
And how did you do in your first year at Champs?
Oh, well, so that's another part of the story. So I was training all that year. They were trying to find, they put me with the 400 group because, I didn't have any place for me. So I was training with the 400 runners. There was no other 400 runner that was doing, class 3 athlete that was doing 400. So I was training with class 2 runners and class 1 runners running 400. So that I was getting killed in practice.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out good for me.
Yeah.
So after I run 59 seconds the first time trial, the season started and they put me on the 4x2. And when I ran the 4x2, there was a guy from Jamaica College named Kevin Mitchell. We call him MacGyver.
Yeah, man, we know MacGyver, man. Yeah.
So MacGyver have the slick back here.
Yeah.
So them set me up, them put me on ankle leg, and I get the stick in first place, and MacGyver run past me, and the man them laugh after me. I said, man, if you met MacGyver beat you, you're the worst. When I put you back on no more, really. I got my one shot to run, and the man them take me off, and them said, no running, no more running for you. You're embarrassed, Casey. So they said, I move over now, and them say, all right, you're going to 400 training and long jump. And so I went over to long jump and kind of find my place. And I started long jumping, and I long jump and a couple of meets. Wasn't too impressive, but the practices were good because in practice I was breaking the champs record in the long jump. And so that was a secret weapon that I was going to champs, and I'm going to produce points for Casey in the long jump. I ended up getting an injury playing football. And I went to champs, and the leg injury, I couldn't jump off my jumping leg, so I had to switch and jump off of my other leg. And so I jumped off the other leg and still got third at boys and girls champs.
Wow.
And then they only had one person running the 400. So they said, well, let's fill in all the lanes. We have one person in the 8, one person in the 4, 2 people in the 2, and 2 people in the 100. So they put me in the 400. And I ended up having the fastest time going to the finals in the 400. After the semifinals, I run 51 seconds, coming down from 59 seconds earlier in the year. And then I got a bronze medal in the finals. So I came back as the only class 3 athlete with 2 medals.
Wow.
And that's kind of how the legend of me at Kingston College kind of
started.
Wow. Because nobody expected anything like that from me. And nobody saw anything like that in me. And obviously I didn't have any kind of skill set to show anybody, any other coaches or anybody else that was out there. I just knew I was fast. I knew I could run. I knew I was athletic. I just didn't get the opportunity.
So when did your family find out that you were representing KC? Because you can't hide that no more. Say
no, man. They know I was on the team. They knew I was on the team. I was training, and I tell them I was going to stadium. So they hear my name on the radio. Then people start stopping my grandmother and say, yo, I see this man in the newspaper. This look like your grandson. Really? My grandson? No, man. So I start walking through Spanish Town, and people start looking at me. I said, what am I look for me for? Maybe they want to try to rob me. Them I look for me. Every day I pass them, I look for me, and them open up the newspaper and them look. And them hold on, man. Is you this? Man. So man, we never know it's you. And we asked the man, and we said, there can't be him, man. Maybe it's somebody else. I said, this is you? I said, yeah, man, that's me, man. I run for Casey. And I said, man, enough money we make off for you, man. We have people start pulling me in at the rum bar and say, yo, come here, man. Man. Get a drink. I said, no, man, I'm an athlete. I can't get a beer. I said, man, make a big money off of your champs, you know.
Wow.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Man,
so the entire time from class 3 all to class 1, that's all that happened. People would tell me that we bet a lot of money for you, you come through and win the goal. And that's why them call me legend, because I was making them a lot of money.
That much
I wasn't
money.
getting any of that money.
Yeah, we know, man. We
Yeah,
know.
man,
Yeah,
we know,
yeah,
we know,
yeah,
we
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Wink,
yeah,
wink,
yeah.
we know.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't get
that
no tight,
guarantee.
Davian. You're good.
And I never do any of the betting. But somehow, you know, they said I was a reliable athlete and they could always count on me for help
Yeah.
them getting them money. So that's kind of how my journey at Kingston College started. And then
So apart from that first year, what was the most memorable year for you in track and field at Champs?
oh yeah, so that was my start. But the next year was first year class 2. I got one medal and I made in the 400, and then I made the 200 final. And so that kind of put me on the radar where people said, hey, you know, maybe we need to pay attention to this young man. And so that second year now, I made the Jamaica team, which is, you know, this is, you know, way bigger than KC, and I get selected for the Jamaica team.
That's Carifta and them thing there.
Carifta. And I went to Carifta and they put me in the 400. And that's the only thing I was going to do, run the 400. And I get to Carifta and they expect me to come like second or third, you know, just get a medal. Because they have another athlete who became my rival, which is Edward Clarke. And so Edward Clarke had won champs and broken champs record. And he was like the next superstar in Jamaica track and field. He was Usain Bolt before there was Usain Bolt.
Which school was that? Which school was Edward Clarke?
Jamaica College.
Okay.
So that's when Jamaica College was dominating.
Yeah.
And he was scoring most of the points for Jamaica College for them to win. In class 2, he won I think he got second in the 100, won the 200, won the 400, and run either the 110 hurdles or the 400 hurdles. And he was a major part of their 4x4, a major part of their 4x1.
Okay.
But once he got to Carifta, he was tired.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the energy. So he was warming up and him look at me and say, listen, boss, take it easy, you know. We're just gonna jog this thing and just get the 1-2. And I said, okay, all right. Just gonna jog it and get the 1-2. And so me and him pulled that off. And then later in the year, we had mutual life games. And I went to mutual life games. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna make Edward Clarke beat me. I'm gonna go after it.
Yeah.
So that year, it was the first time I broke 50 seconds. I ended up running 48 seconds at champs. And I got third, 48.6 or something like that. And so nobody thought, or not even me, think I can beat Edward Clarke. But I really wanted to run 47. And I didn't know how extraordinary that was at the time, because champs record at the time, Edward run 47.2 or 47.4. So I ended up beating him at mutual life games that year, and I ran 47.7. No, 47.9. And then everybody's like, wait, this first year class 2 man run 47. Yo, this is impressive. And so they put me on the Jamaica Junior Pan Am team. And then so I was on the Jamaica relay team, but that was a senior team. That wasn't, because Carifta, you have age groups. So you have under 17 and you have under 20. So now I'm running with the big boy, you know, the Jamaica under 20 team. I didn't end up running the finals at the Pan Am Games. The Pan Am Games was in Jamaica that year.
Yeah.
We hosted, so I was part of the team. So that's kind of where everybody started looking at me and say, hey, I think this guy has a talent where he could go beyond not high school, but he could make it to the senior level as an Olympic athlete. And then colleges start saying, hey, I think you could be a college runner. You could get a scholarship. And then my father started looking at it and said, oh man, you have to find a way to pay for college, man. You can go to college. We have to get your grades and all your stuff together. You can't waste this opportunity. And my Uncle Alvin, rest in peace, he died last year. Uncle Alvin was still in Jamaica when my father migrated, and he was a taxi driver. And so he used to tell the history of my family, and he's like, man, you have so many cousins that run, and what you're doing right now. And he was a big sportsman, you know, he was into sports. So he's the one that really started encouraging me and started telling my father, say, yo, your son can go to college, you know. you have to make him keep the focus and stay on it, because he's on a path that, you know, that can be legendary.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started seeing all the other things that track and field could do. And so that's kind of put me on the radar, like I said, at 47. And then the next year champs, I went 92 champs as a favorite for the 200 and the 400. And, you know, that's where I made everybody a lot of money.
That's the champs I remember. When I that's my first walk, the champs.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah. Big rivalry with my Calabar friend, his name again. Oh man, I get old, boy. Oh man, I can't believe I can't remember his name.
That's not Daniel, right? England?
No, it wasn't Daniel, England. Shoot, it'll come to me in a second. Yeah, but that's kind of where that champs, I won the 200, 400, ran 45 seconds on the 4x4 ankle leg, and got second in the hurdles. I couldn't get that MacGyver guy and beat me in the 110 hurdles. That's the only reason I didn't get 3 gold medals.
So when did you stop jumping?
So I did jump that champs. I jump every champs.
Okay.
Except my last year.
Okay.
But the first champs is the only champs I had a medal. The rest of the champs, I either don't make the finals or I come like 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But it was the reason why I stopped jumping is because I had so many other events, because they were training me at KC as secret weapon. Nobody had seen me hurdle, so they didn't know I could hurdle. So when I went to that champs, I'm going in running the 110 hurdles, 200, 400, 4x1 and 4x4. So I'm doing 5 events as a secret weapon for KC, but they didn't know I could hurdle, so nobody had seen me hurdle. I had hurdle with the shutter relay team. You know, I run on the shutter hurdle relay team, but nobody had seen me hurdle all year. So people didn't know I could hurdle, and they didn't know I was hurdling from class 3. So I was kind of a secret weapon. I actually run hurdles class 2 and class 1 hurdles. I didn't make finals class 1, but I only stayed class 1 year.
Okay.
And that's kind of my best event. When I became a coach, that's the event I love to coach, the 400 hurdles and 110 hurdles. And,
so having gone through all of that now with your schoolboy athletic career, yes. I know that what came along next would have been the opportunities, as your Uncle Alvin said, for, go overseas, go university.
Yes.
What was your mindset towards that? How were you approached, and how did you make that decision to select which university you went to?
Well, so that first year, class 2, we went to Penn relays, and I ran on the relay, and I had that great split, and our team won the relay, but them robbed us. They robbed us from the goal. And so that's when the colleges started coming up to me. So that's one of the things about athletics, and why it's important for young men, young women, not to just depend on boys and girls champs for people to see you. But you have to showcase yourself at an international meet, because the knock on Jamaican athletics back then, it's not like that anymore, was that people run fast at champs, but they couldn't do it when they come over to the US, and the college coaches, there wasn't internet and stuff like that. So when they hear about you running a 10-2, they want to see it with their eyes. So when I went to boys champ, Penn relays, in that pressure situation, a stadium with 50,000, 60,000 screaming fans on TV and all that, and perform, and they hear the split, and they say, what, this guy's only 15 years old, split 47 seconds. Oh yeah, we definitely need to put him on our radar. So schools used to come up to me and give me brochures and say, hey, this is Arkansas, this is UCLA, this is USC. We want you to come to our college. But I'm sorry, so I mentioned the school that recruited me the most was George Mason, because they had a big a Jamaican coach that was there that knew the talent of the Jamaican athletes. And Coach Banks, he passed away, rest in peace to Coach Banks. And Coach Banks found me at KC. He used to call the principal office. I asked the secretary to have me come upstairs to talk to him on the phone. So I used to get called once a month at KC and say, hey, man, I need you to hit the books. I need you to study this. I need you to do that so you can get into a Division I school. So Coach Banks really put a lot of effort into me. But I didn't like the cold, and I know that George Mason was in Virginia, and I know that snowfall in Virginia. So it didn't matter what Coach Evans tell me, I was not going to George Mason. Everybody in them life, them was like, man, you need to go. And Coach Banks actually assembled a successful program. George Mason won the national championships, and they finished second. They're doing a 5-7 years.
No, man, go on talk.
Oh yeah, during a 5-7 year span, he came very close to winning a couple more. And so he always, every time he see me, him always say, man, Davian, you're the only reason why we didn't win 5 years in a row, because you decided not to come to George Mason. So the video you're watching here is when I was at University of Miami and I won the indoor national championships. And that's one of my Jamaican teammates in the second place from Jonathan Grant running behind me. Yeah, so this is still my personal best right here. I ran 45.8, which was the third fastest winning time at the NCAA indoor championships ever. It was third fastest time in the world that year, 1998. Around 45.86 was a great accomplishment. I knew I could do it, but
it looked like you could have done one more lap than do Davian, man. You look fresh same way, man.
Yeah, man. It was a good meet. You know, I was on fruits diet the entire week, doing push-ups and sit-ups, and you see my shoulder. Most of them was, man, I was working out in the hotel room doing sit-ups, man. I was ready for them. That was the best meet I've ever been to. And I'm happy I won, and that was my second NCAA title. I went to University of Miami in 1995 and won.
So before you continue with the accolades, Davian.
Yes.
So you did not want to go to a state that you would experience the cold conditions. So how did you break down your selection for the universities in Florida? Florida.
There was no, so I didn't have any of that. So back in the day, they used to have some meets in Florida. There was the I said Miami. I forget the name of the Miami meet, but there was a meet in Orlando, the Great Southwest Classics, Orlando Classics, and so I didn't get to go to the Miami meet because KC, with the budget and situation, we only went to one meet, so we had to choose Miami or Orlando. So we went to Orlando Classics and Penn Relays that year. That was what was on the schedule. While at the Orlando Classics, all the seniors on the team were getting recruited by different colleges. While I was there, me and my father was there, because my parents lived in Florida at the time, and my brother, and so they drove up to Orlando to see me. And so we were there taking pictures and hanging out. And the coach from University of Miami came over to me and said, man, I just saw your son run the 400. Very interested in him coming to our school. And he gave me a brochure and his contact information. Since my father lived in Florida, he's like, well, this would be a great opportunity. It's close to home. It's only 45 minutes by train.
You can pick up your rice and peas on a Sunday.
Pick up the rice and peas. I can go do the laundry, which is exactly what used to happen.
Yeah.
I used to take the Metro Rail train system to Fort Lauderdale. When I get to Fort Lauderdale, take the bus to the library and the bus stop, and then my brother come pick me up. And I have my laundry basket with clothes to wash. And when I'm going back up, they do the same thing, drop me at the Tri-Rail station, and I hop on the train and go back to University of Miami. So it was a great situation. Jillian Russell is a Jamaican Olympian. She was at University of Miami winning tons of national championships. The coach wanted me, but we ran into one problem. I didn't have the academic things that I needed. You know, the academic barrier was still there for me. One of the reasons was I had dropped out AdMats because I couldn't take the rigors of AdMats, and I needed a Spanish. I needed a foreign language, and I didn't. No, it wasn't there. No. Yeah, I was in Spanish, but I had not done well on the SAT.
Okay.
The SAT was the issue that I had. And so, SAT, and I didn't have a science subject. And so I migrated to the United States and did 1 year of college prep at a high school in Florida called Piper High School. And while I
Yep,
was at
right up the
Piper,
road from me.
yeah, 44th Street, man, that's me.
Yes, yes.
They have a big
Pass it
banner of
every
me.
Saturday to go play ball too. Every Saturday I drive past it.
Yeah, they have a big banner of me inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they build a fancy auditorium now, so
Yes,
the
they
people
do. Yes,
don't know. They don't know me. I have to go over there and reintroduce myself. But I went there, won the state title for them, and
Yeah.
broke the state record. So when I went to Piper, one of the things I loved about Piper and the American system is that they had a SAT class, which was what attracted me to come to the US, to come to school. It wasn't because of athletics. It was because I needed to do some academic things. And so I was enrolled in a SAT class for 1 semester. So all I did was SAT every day. And then I took the test, passed get the passing score so I could go to University of Miami, which was a blessing in disguise. University of Miami is a private school.
Yeah.
So coach was telling me, Coach Price, which was my coach that recruited me and got me to University of Miami, he was like, you can't just have a low score. You have to have a good score because they're not going to let you into this school, a private school, if you don't have a good SAT score. And so I really had to buckle down and kind of just focus on that part of it. And so that 1 year that I was in the US going to school, my focus was not on athletics. I just kind of focused on academics because I already knew I had a academic scholarship.
Yeah.
I mean, athletic scholarship. So I just needed to get my stuff together.
Yeah. Now let me clear up for our listeners here. At this time when you migrated, you had completed your entire high school term at KC, right?
Yeah, man. I have KC. I paid for my KC ring. I did the orals for Spanish. I got a 2. I did my coursework for history, and I did something else and CXC, but I didn't complete the CXC because I had to leave to start summer school. So because like I said, I had some academic issues, so I had to take care of some stuff.
Good stuff.
I had to take care of family,
Yep.
No, man, I have my KC ring and everything, man.
Yep. We just like to clear it up for the listeners that, because when Marlon went into the migration part, we just wanted to seal up the case.
So before you move on, because I want you to tell us the story of university and then also your professional career. But I'm not sure if I asked, but was there anybody or any group of persons that from KC that would have left an impression on you?
In athletics or all throughout?
In general, whilst you're at KC.
Or a memorable moment as well.
No, man. No, man. Lots of people, everybody. Like vice principal at the time, Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian used to pick me up at the roundabout when he was coming from Maypen every morning. And not just me, there's a bunch of other of us leaving Spanish Town. We just have to wait for him car. Him car tinted, you have to wait for the tint. And then fan down the car, and hopefully there's enough space in there that I can get in. But Mr. Brian used to pick me up and carry me to school in the morning. I have to get out there early because, this man don't pass like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I love him for his kindness and his dedication to KC. Sir Johnson, rest in peace. I went to my house one time, and then in Florida, and I walked in, and my mother was having something for one of her friends, and I turned around and John, I said, "What you doing here?" I said, "Man, this is my house, man. What you doing here?" So he came up for the summer and he was doing some stuff, and just by accident just run into some family friends and some people that he knew that knew.
Look at the world.
And he was at my house. He didn't know that it was my house. He was just there. We're just having some cook food and playing dominoes in the backyard. But while he was at KC, I respected the way they carried themselves and how they approached and how they spoke to us as young men. Because they really did speak to us as young men.
Agreed.
And met us, and they weren't disrespectful. They didn't cuss. They just talked to us sternly and say, "Hey, man, you have to do better. You need to pull up your socks and you need to do this." And they really encouraged me. And they're like, "Davian, you have an opportunity here to be very successful.
Yes.
And I don't want you to mess this up." And they really gave me advice. what's the French teacher name?
Douglas.
Miss Douglas. Yeah.
Yep.
So when I know when she hear this, she gonna laugh, but I did not like Miss Douglas at no point in time when I was at KC.
Yeah, and you're not the only one, but we must say much respect
Yes.
to Miss Dougie. We had
Yes.
a great interview with her as well.
Yes.
It was
But
there.
it's not because of anything that she did wrong. She was stern and she was trying to raise men, and as a woman, you have to stand your ground.
Yeah.
And we can get away with some stuff with Mr. Johnson or Mr. Bryan, but boy, once Dougie Fresh come around the corner, boy, woo wee. But me and her never saw eye to eye. I always thought I was getting a fight, and I was like, and then we had a Carifta team that we had to go to Martinique, and I needed somebody that spoke French. And so me and her traveled to Martinique together.
What? Look at
We
that.
got to know each other, and well, she already knew me, but I didn't know her because I never talked to her. I tried to avoid her. If I see her, I went left or right. Then come here. Oh man, what did I do? And so we sat down and we talked, and she just she really cared about us as students, and she sat me down and she talked to me, and and she encouraged me, and she said, and then this girl wanted to kidnap me in Martinique, and she wouldn't let me go. I was still upset about that. But she's like, you can't go with these people. You don't know who them is. Let them kill you. So just being a real brother. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I probably could have done some stupid stuff and getting in trouble. You guys would never see me, but she always protected me from I was at KC from 7th grade all the way until I graduated. And she always encouraged me. And so I love her for that as well. Just being a mother figure, not just for everybody else, but for me.
Yeah.
So her being the chaperone of the Jamaica team, she said, "You are not going anywhere. I'm keeping my eye on you. If you and her want to talk, y'all can talk right here in front of me." Plus, you don't know any French. You're in the Spanish class.
Oh man.
But those are the things I remember about Miss Douglas.
Yeah. So that was Miss Douglas. I don't know if you have any other.
Yes. So the last person was Mr. Cheng Chui.
Oh.
So Cheng Chui was an art teacher. And every time I see him now, the first thing I lead with was, "I can't believe it." I'm like, "David, what is, get over it." And I'm upset with him because we were at KC and I did not find out. I don't know if you guys know this. Do you know that Mr. Cheng Chui is a graduate of Oregon University?
No.
Mr. Cheng Chui is the first Jamaican to attend Oregon University, 4.0 student. Mr. Cheng Chui, classmate and teammate at Oregon University, is the man that developed Nike.
Okay. What?
He was there when them developed the shoes. It's him. I said, "Oh man, I'm not interested in things like that, man." I said, "Man, you could have been a billionaire."
Wow.
And so those are some of the things we learn about KC, that we're looking at people, but if you don't ask them questions and talk, don't know the full history.
They know the full history.
I said, man, I said, Mr. Cheng Chui, you have to lead with that, man. When time you meet people, you have to lead with, I graduated from Oregon,
Yeah. Wow. And you still connect with him, right?
When I think he doesn't teach anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember the last time I was in Jamaica, I run into him every now and then. I was at the medical facility and he came through.
Yeah, but he's very low key. He's not a very flashy. He's very low key. You don't want to say mild mannered, but he was very low key because he had a very dominating presence as well because of his height and all of that. And plus the man, they used to call him Hong Kong Fooey, because
Yes.
I remember that one.
Yeah, man. But so talk to us now. You tell us the story now in terms of briefly the time at university as well as their professional career that led to participating in the Olympics.
Yes. Yeah. So my story is a long story. Like I said, did so much while I was in high school. And if my journey had ended there, I would have been a happy camper, because that's more than a lifetime of memories and a lifetime of success and everything else. But yes, I transitioned, I moved on. I got a scholarship to attend University of Miami. I passed the SAT, thank God.
Yep.
Big pressure situation there, just like the CXC situation. Came through in the last minute. And from the high school that I left, I was one of the only persons to get a full scholarship. And while I was at that high school, the women's basketball coach, she was a national champion at University of Miami in basketball, and she was my track chaperone when the track team traveled. And so I got to know her, and she kind of gave me some information and kind of prepared me for University of Miami. So it seemed like everything was kind of working, connecting the dots, just meeting the right people and the connection. So I started University of Miami. Like I said, I have a mentor in Jillian Russell, because she's a successful Jamaican athlete winning NCAA championships at University of Miami. And she was kind of feeding into me and telling me a lot of stuff I didn't know, and guiding me. And but she was older than me, so she was on her way out at University of Miami. We were only in school I think I was only with her for a year, or maybe 2 years before she left. And so I started University of Miami, and academics was, it was kicking my butt, because you go into school in Jamaica and then transition into a US college, US history, US this, everything is different, You can't use feet, you have to use centimeters, all types of stuff.
The use and stuff. Yep.
Yes. So I started meeting a lot of people from Jamaica at school, running into people that I sit downtown at University of Miami. I'm like, man, I know you. I'm running into people from Spanish Town there, and then running into other people like, man, you're Jamaican. We never seen you before. Because it's a private school, so it's a different, the more affluent people that were attending. So, I got to connect and meet a lot of lifelong friends there as well. But the teachers at the University of Miami, I remember I had a finance teacher, and it was the same. He was giving me a hard time, and I was like, everybody was like, man, when this guy's so uptight, everybody's going to fail this class. And he was like, come to my office hours. I'm like, man, I'm not going to your office hours. You go to office hours to study and to ask the teacher what you need to work on, what you need to improve on, so you can pass your classes. And so he would see me in class and say, come to my office hours. And I never went. I went through almost half the semester. I was struggling in class, and then I say, you know what, I'm going to go to the office hours and see what I can learn from this guy to help me to figure out what's going on, because this finance class is not going the way I want. And I go to his office hours, and I'm sitting there, and he's like, man, I've been waiting for you. I was like, yeah. He's like, man, I heard you ran in the Olympics, man. You won a bronze medal. He's like, I ran in the Olympics for Canada too. I got a medal. I was like, you ran in the Olympics for Canada? And so in class, he couldn't talk to me like that. Because he has to stay professional. But once we went to his office hours, we were like teammates. And I was like, man, you ran for Canada 1976 on the 4x1. And he's like, yeah. And then I stayed in the US, and I got this job here at University of Miami, and I'm doing this. I'm like, wow. And he even brought his wife to come watch me at the track meet at University of Miami. And always supported me. I had surgery, and he came to my surgery and all to check on me in the hospital. And so when I went to University of Miami, it was also like a family. And then the big thing about, this is KC 100, Fortis 100. Well, University of Miami turns 100 this year as well. And so while I was at University of Miami, I realized that about Miami and KC start at the
same time.
Same year. I think I remember their 25th anniversary back then when I was in school. I mean, 75th anniversary back then when I was, And so there was a bunch of, like I said, things that connect, that kind of made sense for me at University of Miami. Not just being that it was right there in Florida and close by, but just meeting a lot of people who I connected with, who helped me through my journey. I know I had this young lady from India, that was my math tutor. And she made a big impression on me as well. She helped me with my math because I would go to her and show her what I'm doing, and she's like, I don't understand where you're going with this. You started off good, and then you got
Yeah.
here and you went left. You're not supposed to go left. Everybody knows you're supposed to go right. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. She's like, that's why you're not getting the answers right. You don't have the formula. You're not following
Yeah.
the process.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like, oh man, you need to focus on the process because there's a
Yeah.
lot of steps. But if you don't know the steps,
Yeah.
you can get an answer and it will be totally wrong.
Mhm.
And so meeting people like that kind of changed the way I viewed things. Being at University of Miami with the Rock. My brother used to. I'm sorry. So my backup a little. So my brother was in the U.S. Army, and then after, so he didn't get to go to college. So when I started University of Miami, he was like, "It'd be cool if I go to college with you." So he decided to enroll in University of Miami. So he was my roommate while I was in college.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so he was kind of helping me, mentor me and help me through college and make sure I had structure and keep me on the right path, staying away from the people that party too much.
Yeah. 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 We know
So
that.
even though he was my big brother, he was also, like a father there,
Yeah.
guiding me.
Good.
But I went to school with The Rock. Right, went to school with Warren Sapp, with Ray Lewis when I just started, and then the other guys at University of Miami that played football, they came and they were on the track team. There, I was their big brother, like Ed Reed, that played
Yeah.
in the NFL,
Yeah.
and Connor Moss, and so they used to run the 4x1 with me, Daryl Jones, DJ, and so I was able to help them and show them how to get this, put their things together, and how to stay focused, and
Nice.
Edwin James, all these people, so it
Yeah.
was a great experience meeting those people, first of all, and then watching their careers and seeing the success they had.
Yeah. That they had.
But
Wow.
then they tell me, like, we used to watch you and we see how hard you're working. And we're like, we're on the football team, we're losing all these games. And we're like, well, look at this guy. He's at the NCAA winning and putting Miami on the map. He's like, man, we got to work harder. Because if he can come and work and be an NCAA champion, and we're here every day partying and smoking, we need to stop all this, get focused, and we could bring the University
Right.
of Miami to a national championship. So it
Right.
was a symbiotic relationship where watching them inspired me, and them watching me succeed at the Olympics and at the international level in athletics inspired them to be all they could be as well.
That's good. That's really good. So, what are you doing now, Davian?
Oh man, I do too much.
No, before you answer that, Davian, what
Yes.
did you get your degree in?
Oh yeah, so I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management. I decided to go the route of doing business management instead of doing finance or economics, because I thought, well, I believe since my grandmother was a businesswoman in Jamaica, have our own shop and do stuff like that, I just figured, and my stepfather have a mechanic business. Our family is into businesses, but I wanted to learn how to run a business and build a business and make it successful and grow and then pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And I always thought, well, if I'm successful in athletics, I can use my money from that success to start my own business, because I knew that nobody was going to turn over their Fortune 500 business to me to be a CEO. So I knew that if I was going to be a CEO, I had to build my own business.
And John.
And so that was, and maybe somebody would, but that was my vision, and that was my path, and that's how I came up with that journey. And so I decided to do business management instead of hotel management, because I didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to work for myself. And so that's where I'm at right now. I was a track and field coach for many years, coach Olympic athletes, world champions, world record holders, Olympic gold medalists. And so a couple of years ago, I transitioned from track and field and I got into the business that I wanted to get into when I left college, which is being a banker, investment banker. And so I'm on the path, and I haven't completed all the steps to be an investment banker. But right now I'm a mortgage broker and a life insurance agent. And I'm working on getting the investment license so I could be a investment banker.
Nice. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
Definitely.
Davian, again, I want to thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes.
I hear you say you're the black sheep, but I would call it the fast black sheep. Out of the class. And that it's easy to see that never give up spirit and to see that you have overcome a lot of odds and that you had your own self-belief and you got there. You weren't sure what the path was, but you knew what you wanted and you got there and really appreciate it.
Yes,
so,
yes.
so I would want you to, in true fashion with all our previous guests, to one, wish KC happy 100, and two, to leave a positive message for the current student body and teachers and staff and everybody down there.
Yes. Well, Fortis, Cadere, CEDRE, non-protest. The brave may fall, but never yield. I learned those words when I got to KC. Did not know what they meant. Saw them on the wall, but then I learned to live by it. And then people told me, said, when you run like you have heart, like you believe in the Fortis. And I did believe, and I do believe, and KC gave me the strength. And so I thank them for giving me that strength, giving me that vision, and helping me to focus. Because one of the things is my brain goes in 100 miles per hour. So I had to learn how to be a man at KC, and that's where everything started for me. For the young men, the staff, you're at a wonderful institution. An institution that's growing, that's getting bigger, and us, the alumni, the guys, the Old Boy Association, pour into the school and try to give as much as we can back through mentorship or whatever ways to help you succeed. And you guys, you young men have been doing wonderful. Teachers, support staff, everybody's been doing wonderful. Love the way the competition at the boys and girls championships, the cricket team, the basketball team, everybody, football team, everybody is doing absolutely well. Hockey team, I say under 19 championships coming on later on. Today.
Hey,
yes. So I just want to encourage you, do not listen to others, because that's one of the things about me and my path. I didn't listen to people when they said stay in Spanish Town instead of going to Kingston College. I went after my path. And so you at Kingston College, you can follow your path. Just get you a right mentor to let you see what that path looks like, and then you'll have all the success you need. But just continue to work, continue to pray, continue to believe, and just seek guidance. And as long as you find somebody to mentor you, you will succeed. One of the things I do when I do public speaking is, if I can get one person to learn one thing from what I say, then I know that I've achieved everything I need to achieve. And so that's what I want from today. I just want one person to listen to the words that I said just now, and just pick one thing, whether it's going to university, whether it's joining the track team, whether it's focusing on your math or your Spanish, whatever it is. Just focus on one thing that I said that you can use to rally and build on for the rest of your life. And I thank you again. Appreciate the Kennedy brothers. Really appreciate you guys and what you're doing, and continue to work hard, and God bless.
Wow, 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 wow. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 1925 and Beyond podcast, Mr. Davian Clarke himself, or I'd say Davian, the man who gave me my highlight of my first champs at boys and girls champs there in Jamaica as a KC man. Thank you. But I would say this, water come in my room. The year that he joined, KC was the year of Gilbert. But at that moment, he became the legend of his community right there in Spanish Down. Winning bets he had no clue of.
Come on, bets.
Making many people. That's what leaders do. Leaders impact people in many ways that we don't even know, because I said a lot of times people are listening, watching, and having an impact until they realize it was the man next door that was actually putting food and clothes and all these things from a tender age on the households of many. He became a part of Jamaica Pan Am team and I would say the under 21 team from a tender age. And later on, coached many world champions, many Olympic world record people who have came through the track and field sport. I must tell you, I'm honored to sit with you today, my fellow Fortis brother. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time. But you said it, but we still have to do it. We wrap up every session with the greatest motto that came out of the greatest institution. And I tell you all the time, you see, we don't have to tell no KC man to do it because it's a part of our DNA. And I tell you right now, if you're cutting, what kind of blood come out if you cut it right now, Davian? What kind of blood? Purple. It's one and only blood can come out, and that's purple blood. But we wrap up with the greatest motto out of the greatest institution, and it goes like this: Fortis, Cadere, CEDRE, none Potest. The brave may fall, but never yield. See you on the next episode for 1925 and Beyond podcast. Catch you for another awesome story. See you then.